Thank you for joining us this morning on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. It is Wednesday. We've made it to Wednesday, the middle of the week, hump day, as people like to refer to. It is Friday, Junior. You
Sure.
like that one?
Yeah,
You like that one?
I like
All
that
right,
one.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, we'll roll with it. We don't always agree. We have, you heard the voice. That's Carlene
Hi,
Bragg.
everyone. It's me.
How are you doing this
I'm
morning?
good. How are you?
I am doing well. You know, got to start out with the energy.
Yep.
You know, got to wake folks up. If you're waking up now, if you've been up, you know, wherever. Maybe you just got at work, and maybe you're just watching the stream.
Yeah.
And maybe you just need a boost. You don't need the coffee. You just
Nick's
need a
your
boost.
boost.
I'm here. So, again, thank you for joining us. We have a lot going on today. We're going to talk about the weather, of course, here. It continues to rain. First day back to school in Gaston County. But first, we want to get to some breaking news out of Louisville, Kentucky. Bear with us. I just want to give you a heads up. I'm trying to wait for the shot to stabilize, but the shot is kind of all over the place because this is breaking news. As it gets set, I'll walk you through it. So this is from WHAS 11 there in Louisville, Kentucky. So here's the headline. Person shot Wednesday morning near JCPS Elementary School. All right, I believe the shot is stable. Here we go. Again, bear with us. This is breaking news, and obviously they are covering this as breaking news. So this happened near the same bus stop where a teen fired a gun last week. All right, here's what we have so far. Again, this is out of Louisville, Kentucky. A person was shot Wednesday morning near a JCPS elementary school. As of 8:45 this morning, there was a heavy police presence at 11th and Chestnut Streets near Coleridge Taylor Elementary School. A witness told WHAS 11 News they saw someone get shot at around 8 a.m. Again, bear with us on this shot for a second as that camera moves around and it gets set and it gives you a look at the scene. Coleridge Taylor Elementary was under a brief lockdown but has since reopened. Police currently on scene. As you see there, you can see it's taped off from the earlier shots. Now the chief of police there in Louisville arrived at the scene around 8:30 this morning. So this happened, as I mentioned before, near a bus stop where shots were fired just last week. A teen was arrested in connection to that shooting. We are working to get more information for you. And again, you're taking a look at the scene. The camera is kind of a little all over the place. It's breaking news. In situations like this, you're trying to get as many shots, you're trying to get as many angles of the scene as possible.
Moving, trying to move locations, trying to get the best.
It can be a little chaotic on shooting scene. So this is a good look at the scene right there. You see, it is taped off. You see the police presence. Again, if you're just joining us, a person was shot this morning near elementary school in Louisville, Kentucky. That elementary school, Cole Ridge Taylor Elementary. It was placed under a brief lockdown, but has since reopened. There's this heavy police presence that you see. If you're familiar with Louisville, if you're not, that police presence is at 11th and Chestnut Streets, again, near Cole Ridge Taylor Elementary School. The school is back open, again, as I mentioned, and police are on scene, as you could see right there. Again, as we learn more, we get more information, we will make sure to pass that along to you and update you here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We're not afraid to update you and jump right in and give you those quick updates to breaking news stories and developing stories. So we'll keep an eye on that. And again, as things continue to evolve in this investigation, we will update you throughout the morning. All right, so let's shift now back here at home. That was a deep sigh, I know.
Very deep sigh.
I'm sorry.
More excited.
No.
That is like, oh, she walks in.
Let me explain. That's Majestic Storm. There's a storm brewing. It's majestic. Okay. So let me explain. So I know it was going to continue to rain today, but I was hopeful this morning. I didn't wake up to the sound of rain, and that's what woke me up.
We ended up waking up to rain.
It was raining.
Rain or storms? Did you hear the rumbles of thunder?
I didn't
hear it.
You didn't? Okay.
No, I heard. Yeah, one of my coworkers, who actually is my neighbor, said, "You didn't wake up from it?" I said, "No, girl."
You were exhausted. You were sleeping real good.
I was out like a baby, and then I woke up and I'm like, "It's raining again?"
Again.
Majestic, come on.
Isn't that wild?
It's like London. We might as well be in London.
You know, London, North
rain.
Carolina,
or Seattle.
Seattle, North Carolina.
Other place where it rains.
I feel like the more I say it, the more it rains.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to start like saying better things, like thinking more positively, and then it will change. I always tell people, my name's Majestic Storm, not Mother Nature, so you can't blame it on me.
No, we can.
What in the world?
Nick always wants something to
He's like, little do you know, Majestic.
But before you get to the forecast, I do have a bit of good news.
Okay.
So yesterday we had a moment. Well, you guys had a moment. You were asking for boat friends.
Yeah.
It looks like you have boat friends in the comment section.
We have boat friends?
On Instagram on the post.
This
I don't
is
know.
huge.
Did y'all check the post?
No, we didn't get that far.
So they posted a clip from yesterday's show. In our interaction, you're asking for boat friends. So it looks like you have boat friends.
People
What did they
responded?
say? Did they say welcome aboard or what?
Basically, yeah. You have boat friends.
We promised to behave. We'll bring some snacks.
There you go. I just
We're a
wanted
good time.
Yeah, we're a good time. I'll bring snacks.
I'm
and
your
vibes.
land friend, so we can do anything on land. But you have boat friends.
You'll wave.
Okay.
I'll wave. All right,
So
have a good
when's the
time.
boat day? I guess we got to look at the
We gotta
forecast.
look into this. Now we gotta ask the people with the boat. We don't have the keys.
Well,
True.
we got to ask Majestic too because she has the keys to the forecast. So there you go.
All right, let's get into it. Yes, we did have those storms last night. I know they woke a lot of people up if you weren't sleeping real heavy.
Yeah.
A lot of dogs kind of get a little anxious with storms like that, kids possibly. And here's our satellite and radar. So still big picture perspective across the Carolinas, tons of cloud coverage out there. We're still not done with the rain, but this is really the big thing that I'm watching right now. It's been just this very isolated location that's been experiencing these very spotty downpours. And the National Weather Service just issued a flash flood warning mainly for northern Richmond County. The good news with this is that it's almost out of our viewing area. It is at really like the furthest east that it can possibly be, and it's continuing to track eastward. But out towards Rockingham, Ashboro, I-73, up and down it, that's where we're currently seeing those spotty downpours, and that's what we need to be ready for moving forward. Scattered showers, isolated downpours even into the afternoon. Once we bring it back to the Charlotte metro area, we have maybe a few light sprinkles out there, some mist or drizzle, but really most of our heavy rain is out of here as far as that heavy and widespread rain goes. I think by the afternoon we will still have some potential for a few pop-up afternoon showers or storms, kind of what we're used to. Now I want to take you up to the mountain locations though. because that's currently where we have some ongoing rain. It's a little bit more widespread, and we actually have pockets of moderate to heavy rain as well. Now, across the mountains and the foothills today, you do have a higher opportunity to actually see some localized flooding. All counties shaded in that that yellow there. You need to be on the lookout for that, especially if you live in a flood-prone area. That means low-lying locations. If you live by a creek or a river, you might see them rapidly rise today with those isolated downpours. Want to walk you through the Futurecast because I know a lot of students went back to school today, which was so exciting. And, you know, it was still a little bit rainy out there for a lot of them. But by the time we're picking them up after school, a lot of this is actually going to just be out of our area. We could even see some pockets of sunshine, which would be really nice. But oftentimes when we have more sunshine, warmer temperatures, an increase of humidity, that's all the perfect recipes for more storms to form. And that's what models are picking up on. So here's about 6 o'clock around dinner time or so. You can see kind of this line of storms trying to form, mainly northwest of Charlotte, mainly the same area where we have that elevated risk for some flooding. So keep this in mind. That's up there towards Lincolnton, Statesville, Taylorsville, through Shelby. And then once it kind of gets a little closer to Charlotte, the line breaks apart. Can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm or two, but I don't think it's going to be anything intense, just very random. As we're heading into the overnight hours and into Thursday morning, more cloud coverage tomorrow morning, still some light scattered showers. Better opportunity for sunshine tomorrow, though, and temperatures should rise into the 90s for Thursday. But not just heat, we're also adding in humidity, so you know what that means again, the possibility of seeing those afternoon thunderstorms. This is about Thursday afternoon, late afternoon and evening. There's 8 o'clock where it could even impact the Charlotte metro area. So following a lot of things, there's that bus stop forecast. If you're picking those kids up after school today, I think really across Charlotte, it'll just be more cloudy, a little bit of sunshine by 5 o'clock though, and then we'll watch for those random pop-up storms. Temperatures into the 70s. Hard to see because we've also seen some fog develop, especially for the higher elevations. But I've noticed a lot of people reach out to me, and specifically Ben. He was out live today for the morning show, and he had his umbrella, he had his raincoat, he was all ready for the rain, which it did rain, but he said it was very, very muggy out there. And that's exactly right. I mean, we're seeing those dew points in the mid to upper 70s. Anytime they're even in the lower end of the 70s, you know it's going to be one of those days where you step outside and the humidity is just unavoidable. So yes, humid, but look at what happens. Upper 80s today for our daytime highs. It's going to be hot. 88 for our high in Charlotte, 90s from Lancaster out towards Cheraw. But because of that uptick in humidity, this is what it's going to feel like around 4 o'clock this afternoon. 94 degrees, 97 out towards Lancaster, 96 for Cheraw. So the heat and humidity is slowly starting to build back in. But remember, when we have heat and humidity, it doesn't always just mean it's going to be a hot, sunny summer day. Oftentimes, we've got to watch for those afternoon and evening thunderstorms. So to wrap it up, there's that 7-day forecast. We're getting warmer. We still have rain and storm chances really over the next 2 days, but we'll hold on to that as we're heading into Friday and Saturday, but ultimately they start to go down. So as they go down, those temperatures go up. So I'm thinking probably Saturday or Sunday would be good for a boat day. Probably Sunday. I mean, we're looking at
That looks
sunshine,
nice.
90s, not even any storm or rain chances. So
I was
there
about
we
to say,
go.
there's a 20% chance on Saturday, so I don't know about that one.
Does that scare you away?
Yeah.
You're like, you're not messing with things
nah,
now.
Nah. And look, Carlene has a little bit of bad luck when it comes to boats and storms.
I know.
So, just saying.
I was promised a boat day, and it did not. It rained.
Oh.
Well, you know,
What was
I
the
could-
percentage that day?
It was high.
okay, to be fair.
It was. I went into it knowing it probably wasn't going to happen, but again,
Yeah.
I don't have the keys,
True.
so I can't make the call. I showed up.
Okay, well, whoever invited us out on the boat, tell us where to show up on Sunday.
Check the comments. You guys are gonna
Now
be
I'm
happy.
excited.
Check the comments. Check
Oh,
the
that would be
comments.
so fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to our digital team. They put it out there, and
Thank
look.
you, digital team. You're helping us get the
Yes.
friends that we need.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
need friends in general, so this is a 2-for-1. Get normal friends and boat friends.
Look at
We'll
us
be your friend.
making connections and getting forecasts, and hey, that's what happens. All right, Majestic.
Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, so as Majestic mentioned, it's first day back to school for a few school districts in North Carolina. Let me make sure I get this right, and I'm going to do this. No notes.
No notes.
I'm going to.
I have the notes, so if you blank, I got them.
Gadsden,
Yep.
Lincoln,
Yep.
Caldwell.
Yes. Correct.
There you
Good
go.
job.
Pretty good. Also, my notes helped. I had notes the entire time. But seriously, back to school for those 3 school districts in North Carolina. Welcome back to the classroom. I hope you have a great, great first day back to school. We had school students back to school yesterday. I guess since the beginning of this week,
Yes.
first day back. Also in South Carolina, they're in their second week.
Yep.
Kids, staff, teachers, families, I hope this school year goes well, and I hope this first day, first couple of days, first week, first 2 weeks go well to kick off the school year. So Ben Thompson, Majestic also mentioned, he was out in the rain this morning.
He was out there.
Covering the first
Yep.
day back. He did a great job out there
Yes.
covering it. He went from, I saw one live shot where he had the yellow rain jacket,
Yep.
and then I saw the next live shot, he had the suit jacket. So I was
Yep.
like, congratulations, it stopped raining.
Ben Thompson's very talented when it comes to wardrobe change.
Yeah, I mean,
Very talented.
looked good out there. But more importantly, he gave us some good news and some helpful news for the students and teachers and families going back for the first day in Gaston County. So ahead of that, Ben Thompson got a chance to talk to the superintendent about the key priorities heading into this new school year. Let's get to that full interview right now.
We're sitting right now in the latest and greatest Gaston County has to offer here at Greer Middle School, and it took a while to get here.
Sure.
Tell us about that.
Well, we started in 2017 with a bond issue of $250 million. The voters overwhelmingly supported that. And we started building, replacing our middle schools. Our middle schools traditionally have been old high schools that were repurposed for the 6A model. And two buildings later, we started Greer about 2 years ago. And it's a 2-phase process. So we built the school on the old football field, baseball field, softball field, and we're able to build while we held school at the old building. And now that phase 1 is done, the school, this beautiful building, we now will move to phase 2, which is the athletic complex.
And that will be done in the next year or so?
We have 12 months and that will be done. So we have alternate plans for our athletic programs to play off-site, to practice off-site. But yeah, that'll take 1 year.
You're about a year and a half into the job at this point. What do you think is the biggest challenge your district faces as you start this new school year?
Resources. The funding of resources right now is a challenge, as it is for any district in the state right now. We're ready to start school. We are made sure that our buildings, procedures, and protocols are in place for safety. So we always have that on the forefront of our thoughts and our planning. But right now, currently, it's budgetary planning and making adjustments for the different funding sources we're seeing.
A lot's been made about state funding and the amount of money that state lawmakers give towards the public school system. At the same time, they've increased funding for opportunity scholarships and vouchers. How does that sit with you?
Well, I am a public school proponent. I believe the best children can get in Gaston County schools is our public school system in many ways. And every time that funding source is cut into, it affects us directly.
What would your message be to those state lawmakers?
Continue to support education for all children, and specifically, let's support public education and continue the good work we're doing for 30,000 students in Gaston County schools, and help us and support that in your funding formulas.
Last number I saw, you guys have 49 teacher vacancies going into the school year. Where are those positions at, and what are you finding it the most difficult to fill?
So we have 56 schools, as you know, so many schools have 0 or 1 vacancy. We do have a few schools with multiple, 3 or 4. We're finding difficult in secondary, that'd be middle school and high school. And it's not new to education, but some of the tougher fields to fill are the sciences and math positions. 49 is the lowest number we've had in, I'm going to say, 4 or 5 years. So I think we are moving in the right direction, using social media, doing more job fairs, trying to get the message out that teaching is a wonderful profession and a wonderful career. And Gaston County Schools is a good place to be with that.
What about when it comes to teacher pay? What are you paying new teachers?
Teacher pay is right at $40,000 to new teachers. I know there's talk and legislation in both the House and the Senate and the governor to raise that number. They are not agreeing on the number yet, but I'm seeing some numbers that would be a $10,000 increase for beginning teachers.
Does Gaston County do what some other counties do, and Mecklenburg County does as well, as far as supplement the base and add to that whatever the state gives?
We do have a teacher supplement, and that is above and beyond what the state provides. And for Gaston counties, the average is about $3,300 a year.
Okay.
And that comes directly from county commissioner support and funding.
You said that you're committed to placing a renewed emphasis on academic achievement. What does that look like?
Well, it begins with high quality teaching and learning in every classroom, every day. And we took last year to work with administration, develop some focus areas, and number one is high quality teaching and learning. And that means supporting our administrators, supporting our teachers, giving them professional development that's relevant and real, and then setting standards, higher standards.
Gaston County for some time now has been one of the counties, Cabarrus's as well, that defies state law and starts the school calendar a few weeks early. Why, in your mind, is that so important?
Well, I think it's all about a balanced calendar where our students can end a semester before Christmas and begin a new semester January when they come back. And that's important. And I have 4 children, and all of them were not able to do that. And I saw the benefits of that. So I think when you ask our teachers and you ask our students and you ask our Board of Education, that's an important factor there, is to be able to have a balanced 90 days, 90 days, 85 days, 85 days, and then have testing before Christmas break so that some of that learning isn't lost over the Christmas break, and you can end one semester before a 3-week break and start anew in January.
Have state lawmakers said anything to you or the school system?
Yeah, we talk often, and I have shared the value of that to many of them, and we continue to talk.
Yeah. What's the cell phone policy here?
So we have a cell phone policy in Gaston County schools where the cell phones are to be turned off during the learning instruction time. So they are not to be used during classroom time or when instruction is going on.
And what about AI? How are you all approaching it as far as teachers go, but also as far as students?
So we are working to have robust professional development and learning opportunities for teachers and students so that we can end, at the end of the year, we can say we've had a successful year of implementing AI, using it properly, safely, and correctly. So we know it's part of the world now. It's not going away. And I think if we don't at least use it, discuss, and teach our teachers and students to use it responsibly, I think we'll be doing a disjustice to them. So our idea is train teachers, train students so that they can successfully use AI responsibly in the classrooms for teaching and learning.
We're sitting here in a brand new library in a brand new building, 7 years in the making. How do you prioritize other big capital improvements when funding is an issue?
So I referenced the bond referendum of $250 million earlier, and we are coming to the end of that. And it's been a wonderful influx of money for capital improvements. We have been able to finish 16 roofing projects that were in excess of 25 years old. We've been able to replace boilers and chillers in our schools. The average age of our school building, I think, is 42 years old. So we have to have an influx of capital funding to be able to support those buildings as they age, and then to modernize them as well. So we consistently have big capital projects, paving, roofing, as I mentioned, HVAC, boilers, as well as school freezers. So we've been able to replace a lot of the aging equipment we have in our district because of those bond funds. So it's been an influx of positive improvements for school system and our children who deserve it. Do
you see another bond referendum in the future?
Yeah, so we are always thinking about the future, and we are always talking about that. I meet with the county manager, and our board speaks with the county commissioners, and yes, we would like to see a bond referendum once we get done spending the rest of this funds very soon.
How much you got left, or at least how much longer is going to last you?
Well, we are at about $60 million of a $250 million bond draw, and we have that budgeted out through the end of next summer.
Gotcha. And after that, revisit?
After that, it's capital improvements and funding from there on.
What are you most excited about for the school year?
Getting the kids back in the building. I mean, I had the pleasure of speaking with a couple student advisories this week that have come back early to help advise the leadership and administration. They want to get back to school. They want to spend time in the buildings. Teachers want kids. They want the buildings are when they're empty, they're just lifeless. So I think, and I've talked to many parents, of course, and they are excited for school to start back as well.
All right, so that was Ben Thompson's full interview this morning with the superintendent there in Gaston County. He also talked to him live during his live shots this morning as kids go back to school in Gaston, Caldwell, and Lincoln County. This time, no notes. I remembered. So, yeah, welcome back to school. That is always cool to hear when the superintendent says, hey, I'm just looking forward to having the students back in the building. It's always a good feeling. So good luck to everybody on the new school year. All right, so let's change gears for a moment. So President Trump is expected to meet virtually today with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and European leaders ahead of his face-to-face meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday in Alaska. While here at home, the White House is defending the president's move to take over law enforcement in Washington, D.C. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest on both of those things coming out of the Trump administration.
A new site for tourists at some of Washington, D.C.'s most visited landmarks as hundreds of National Guard troops began deployments in the nation's capital overnight, joining D.C. police now under federal control for 30 days on orders from President Trump, who declared a public safety emergency.
We are removing as many criminals from the streets and we are cleaning up D.C. as best as we can.
The White House touting 23 arrests Monday night by federal agents from homicide to guns and drugs, also promising to remove homeless encampments and move people to shelters for services or to jail if they refuse.
These are pre-existing laws that are already on the books. They have not been enforced.
Protesters and critics in Congress slamming what they call a manufactured crisis and presidential overreach.
He's taking away checks and balances.
City leaders pointing to dropping violent crime stats over the past 2 years. The mayor meeting with the attorney general, promising to make the most of the surge in federal resources while criticizing what she called an authoritarian push.
We all need to do what we can in our space, in our lane, to protect our city and to protect our autonomy.
It all comes as the Trump administration is also focused overseas, preparing for Friday's summit in Alaska between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, which the White House now calls a listening session, confirming Ukrainian President Zelensky will not join, though he is speaking by phone today with President Trump and European allies pushing for Ukraine to have a voice in ending the Russian assault.
All right, so that was NBC's Alice Barr with the latest out of the Trump administration. One of the things that she hit on was President Donald Trump's federal takeover of the police department in Washington, D.C., and the deployment of the National Guard. WUSA, our content partners there in D.C., they're reporting on all of this unfolding from what's happening in the mayor's office there in D.C. to how folks are feeling in the district. I mean, as that presence grows, there is some unease there. You know, again, this is from reporting from WUSA, our content partners there in Washington, D.C. And we actually got a chance to hear from anchor there at WUSA, Lorenzo Hall. He spoke with Vanessa Rufus yesterday about this federal takeover, the overall feeling within the district, and just the latest since he's there in D.C. Let's take a listen into that interview.
Hi, everyone. everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. Right off the bat, we want to start with a live feed that's coming in as we speak right now. It looks like D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is hosting a virtual town hall. Of course, this coming on the heels of the Trump administration announcement that it is deploying National Guard and federalizing Metropolitan Police. Let's listen in right now to hear the conversation.
Out our challenges, we take care of our own business and we take care of our own people. So I think sharing your DC story, whether it's on your social media, with colleagues, is important. That we're telling people we don't live in a dirty city. We are not 700,000 scumbags and punks, and we don't have neighborhoods that should be bulldozed. So like we have to be clear about our story, who we are, and what we want for our city. So please get out there and share and reach out to us with any information, any concerns and recommendations like we've heard today. And so I just want to kind of be clear with everybody that I have a very my jobs are many right now, and part of it is just practically managing us through this crisis. But I'm also really ticked off about the intrusion on the district's autonomy and the characterization of the good work that we do in this city to make it beautiful, to have excellent services, to attract millions of tourists, to have a growing school system, to have a growing city with new residents showing up every day. So that's the real Washington, and I'm counting on you to make sure the world knows that as well. All right. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. If you have additional questions, feel free to email us at elm@dc.gov. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, so there you have it. That looked like that was the tail end there of that virtual town hall with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and other officials. As you heard there, the mayor saying she was, quote, her words, ticked off about the Trump administration deployment of National Guards into D.C. and the federalization of the Metropolitan Police. We've been following the latest with this story for the past couple of days now. A couple of developments of note since the last time we checked in. Looks like we are seeing even more rhetoric from the president regarding unhoused folks and where they might go or what could happen to them if they do not leave the city, because ultimately we saw over the weekend the president taking to social media urging unhoused folks in D.C. to, quote, telling them to move out immediately, saying, quote, we will give you places to stay that are far from the nation's capital. Well, then we had the announcement Monday talking about the federalization of the police department, the deployment of the National Guard. He talked about how the federal government would be removing encampments for the unhoused folks there from all over the parks. And so he reiterated again today, we saw the White House talking about how that would be a priority for them, not providing many details on exactly how the relocation would work, but essentially suggesting that displaced, unhoused folks use existing services that are available to them or face fines or jail time. Now, we've also been seeing discussions underway about crime in D.C., and so we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. We'll have a discussion with one of our colleagues at our sister station there in D.C. in just a few moments. But speaking of the White House, we did have Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt addressing some of those questions today regarding D.C. and other big topics. So let's listen into that earlier briefing. And once again, on the other side, we do hope to bring a live report from one of our colleagues there in D.C. reporting on the situation.
Everybody, good to see all of you here again today. On Friday morning, President Trump will travel across the country to Anchorage, Alaska for a bilateral meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The brutal war between Russia and Ukraine broke out under Joe Biden's incompetent leadership, but President Trump is determined to try and end this war and stop the killing. As the president has said over and over again, his strong preference will always be for peace and partnership whenever those outcomes can possibly be achieved. There is no leader in the world right now who has been more committed to preventing wars or ending them than President Donald Trump. Just look at what took place here at the White House last Friday, when President Trump hosted the Azerbaijani president and Armenian prime minister and got the two leaders to sign a historic joint declaration for peace, ending a decades-long conflict that disrupted the region and claimed countless lives. In other news, we continue to see positive economic reports across the board. Today's CPI report revealed that inflation beat market expectations once again, and inflation remains stable. Overall, inflation has risen.
Okay, we'll get back to this briefing from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt in just a few moments. As we mentioned, one of the topics she discussed what is going on in D.C. and the deployment of the National Guard, among other measures on behalf of the Trump administration. I want to join now with our colleague Lorenzo Hall, who is there in D.C. And you and your colleagues in D.C., you've been reporting on not only announcement yesterday from the president, but everything that has entailed since. And I guess if you could catch us up to speed with the very latest, because from what I understand today, it sounds like the D.C. mayor has met with, it sounds like Pam Bondi, among other federal officials, and we just had a few moments ago here on the feed a virtual town hall that the mayor was hosting alongside other officials, talking about what they'd like folks to do to, I guess, essentially raise their voices if they feel like they are against this move.
Yeah, Vanessa, so essentially today you have a lot of folks trying to figure out exactly how this is going to work. We heard the president talking yesterday, talking about the violence in D.C. and how this is a lawless city and crime is just out of control. And today, a lot of folks were trying to wrap their brains around what he's talking about and what this is supposed to look like, because there's no real crisis in D.C. Typically, if you have some major event, if you have a lot of riots like we saw back on January 6th and also the Black Lives Matter protests following the death of George Floyd, of course you'd expect some sort of intervention from the federal government. But in this case, because we don't have that, we're not seeing that right now, a lot of folks are wondering, okay, what does this look like exactly? As you mentioned, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, she held a town hall, if you will, a community conversation session online, just letting people know what to expect, talking about some of her conversations with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi there. And I can tell you that for the most part, it's almost like business as usual. We heard the president yesterday, but today we know that Pam Bondi will oversee the D.C. Police Department, but the structure is still in place. We still have our police chief who is overseeing the police department. She still makes all the decisions, but at this point they're just coordinating with the federal government to figure out where some of those hundreds of officers should be placed. And also you have the National Guard. We saw some of them arriving today at the Armory, but they haven't been dispatched to the city as of yet, so we're just standing by for that.
Yeah, I mean, if I could talk about some of the rhetoric that has been used regarding the crime in D.C., you know, you included one phrase that we've heard from the president, quote, lawless city. We saw today the U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, she had a briefing where she talked about, in part, homicides that had happened in D.C., and there were pictures of people that they rolled out on a poster board. I guess, what do the numbers say? And I guess, how do folks in D.C. feel about the crime, in the sense, do people in D.C. feel like there is a big crime issue?
Yeah, so, you know, Vanessa, as a journalist, you have to talk about both sides. You try to cover every angle. And it was a bit jarring to listen to the president and members of his cabinet talk about D.C. yesterday, knowing that that's not entirely what we're seeing with our own eyes. I think everyone will absolutely admit that, you know, crime is a problem in D.C. Out of control, lawless? Absolutely not. But it's like any other major city. You're going to experience crime. We know that 2023, as restrictions were sort of loosened after the pandemic, it was a tough year in the district. Carjackings, robberies, especially when it comes to children and teens. So yes, it can be a problem, but it's not to the point that what you heard the president mentioning there, being out of control. So I think a lot of people here are just sort of baffled at this point, trying to figure out why now. And yes, they'll tell you they need to get this under control. They believe that the DC Police Department needs more officers. They currently have about 3,200 officers. That may sound like a lot to you, but they also help with federal events as well. So that's why you need a police force of that size. So they'll say, yes, we need to get this under control, but the way the president is doing it in this case, no. We've had these conversations over and over again, especially when you talk about the root causes of crime. When you're talking about gun violence, you know, a lot of people are hungry. A lot of people are out of work. You're talking about layoffs, especially when you look at the federal government and what's happening there. $1.1 billion was pulled from the district's government by Congress. So when you really want to address this issue authentically, that's where you go, not just put a bunch of officers on the streets, because as we've seen before, that doesn't necessarily work.
How would you characterize the response from the mayor there in D.C.? And I guess I asked that in the question, you know, in the context of thinking about what we saw with Los Angeles and the deployment of National Guard there, and it got really heated. You know, the governor, Gavin Newsom, I mean, I felt like that escalated, and the mayor there, Karen Bass, I mean, she was very assertive in all of the press briefings we saw after, you know, the deployment happened for weeks on end. And I feel like, you know, what we've seen from the DC mayor feels like, I don't know. I mean, I guess she kind of
Very
indicated her
measured.
hands.
It's
Yeah, very measured. Yeah. How would you characterize it?
Yeah, we noticed listening to the president's remarks yesterday, he didn't mention the mayor once. And you know, when the president has an issue with someone, he will go after them, he will call them names, he will target them, but he did not mention Mayor Bowser because they've had a cordial relationship during his second term. So they've been working hand in hand. She has, this is quite the balance, because D.C. is known for being a Democratic city, and you're working with a Republican president. So she's been striking that balance, and you saw that play out as well during her press conference earlier today, and also yesterday after the president spoke. So she says she agrees with him on some things. They need to get, you know, she wants to get crime under control. She wants the support of the federal government. So she's trying to work with the president in that regard. In terms of homelessness, which is another thing the president mentioned. I don't know if your viewers will understand this entirely, but parts of D.C. is controlled by our local government, and then you have parts of the city controlled by the federal government. So for instance, if there's an incident on the National Mall, that would require the response from U.S. Park Police or some other federal agency. So they really do have to work hand in hand to get this done. So we're used to this working relationship and seeing it play out. So this is essentially what we're seeing play out today.
I'm curious to know, have you found any sort of historical precedent for something like this in D.C.? I imagine y'all probably are interested in looking back to see, you know, how close is this to maybe something that has happened in the past, if at all?
So I can tell you, so home rule gives D.C. this limited self-governance. So we can vote for a mayor, we can vote for city council, but we don't have voting representation in Congress. We can vote in the presidential election. We have roughly 3 delegates for that. So home rule is set up in a way that the feds still control D.C. It was passed by Richard Nixon back in 1973. And Section 740, it gives the president emergency control of the D.C. Police Department. And we know this was set up because back then, President Nixon didn't believe that the D.C. government could get violence under control. So he had this put in there, so if anything happened, we know there were riots because of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. You had the Vietnam War back then as well. You had the heroin epidemic, and Nixon wanted to look tough on crime. So it wouldn't be a good look if you had the capital city near the White House just out of control. So he wanted to make sure he could still put his hand on the lever to get this in place, control the D.C. Police Department if he needed. And it's just been sitting there since Section 740. A lot of people haven't talked about it till now. So this is the first time we're seeing this play out. This is the first time a president has used this power under D.C.'s Home Rule Act.
I am kind of curious to see, you know, whether this is re-sparking any sort of dialogue about, the voting power or representation in DC, just because I know every time I go to DC, I see the license plates that talk about taxation without representation. And we've heard the mayor there saying essentially her hands are tied in a lot of ways, as you kind of alluded to. So is this sparking a larger discussion about maybe changes? I'm just curious about that.
Not yet, because there's always that conversation, the push for statehood, as we call it, to give DC, to allow DC to govern itself without this interference from the federal government. For instance, they have to approve a budget. They have to sign off on local laws. So these are people that district residents haven't even voted for. But the problem here, Vanessa, is you have these lawmakers in Congress. Republicans control it right now, and there's no way they're going to let statehood pass. So for the moment, I think that conversation has been dialed back just a bit, but the mayor and other local leaders are making it a point to say, this is why we've been talking about statehood all this time. Make note of what you see happening today. So when this conversation does come up again, when perhaps Democrats do have the majority in Congress and the presidency, they can use this as an example to push for statehood once again.
Yeah, really interesting situation. I'm curious to know what comes next here. As a journalist, what are you watching for? Obviously, I think you started things off by saying that the National Guard is just now arriving today. So, presumably you'll start to see maybe more of a presence, more visible in the next couple of days. Any sort of, briefings you're expecting from officials in the coming days as well?
I think at this point, a lot of folks are saying, let's wait and see what happens. And a lot of people don't understand this as well, Vanessa. Since we are Washington, D.C., we see these forces all the time. Not the National Guard. That is a bit different. The last time we saw them was shortly after January 6th. They were on the streets, 2021. They were on the streets for a couple of days. It may have been close to a month at that point, obviously, because of the unrest following that attack on the Capitol. Then before that, you had the protests following George Floyd, those protests. So you had the National Guard. Their presence was felt in the city. They were primarily around the Capitol. But in this case, we don't know where the National Guard is going to be stationed. And what that looks like, it may be, again, jarring, just because there is no crisis here. Nothing is happening. So do you have the National Guard just stationed up in a random neighborhood? The optics don't look good, but in terms of how effective they are and what they can do, that is still unclear. We've seen hundreds of federal agents out in the streets. They've made a number of arrests, but those have been similar to what the DC Police Department will make on any given day. So we're not seeing much of a change right now, but a lot of folks are just waiting to see how this plays out.
And as far as we know, it's 30 days. I guess that's the latest that I had seen. And after that 30-day period, there would be more permissions, I guess, that need to be done to extend that stay.
Yeah, and you need a joint resolution of Congress to get that extended beyond 30 days. That is highly unlikely. No one believes that will happen. But again, you're talking about a president who has defied the laws plenty of times. So we're not sure how that's going to play out, if this would just, fall out eventually, without making a mark or making much of an impact here. But the expectation is that things will go along as normal. You will have the federal presence here in D.C. Helping to lower crime. The National Guard will be stationed as well. But outside of that, I don't think anyone is expecting much more than what we're seeing in the next couple of days.
All right. Lorenzo Hall, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here on Live Impact News, giving us not only the very latest, but also, some local insight. Because, I think a lot of folks don't know some of the nuances of D.C., and maybe we all learned something.
No, you bet.
All right.
No, thank you for having me on. I think what you all are doing, just to piggyback off of that, people don't understand what life is like in D.C., so you hear from the president, if folks may not travel here, and you just take his word for it and assume the worst, because he does have this megaphone, he does have this national platform. So what I think you're going to see in the coming days, back to your last question really quickly, Vanessa, you're going to see more D.C. local leaders taking to the national airwaves to sort of paint a more accurate picture of D.C.
Well, we certainly will be covering all that is to come here with the story. We thank you again. Take care, Lorenzo.
Okay.
All right.
Vanessa, thank you.
All right, that was a great breakdown from WUSA's anchor, Lorenzo Hall, on the overall context of the federal government takeover of the Washington, D.C. Police Department, along with how the mayor is reacting, and obviously from the Trump administration's perspective. And an important part of this, the community's perspective in all of this. So we will continue to keep you updated on that evolving situation there in our nation's capital. All right, let's shift gears. Let's come back to home. We want to check in with Carolina Ascent. So they are in the middle of Media Day in anticipation of the start of their second season, which starts on August 30th, so soon. First home game is Saturday, September 6th. The event, this event is an opportunity to hear from coaches, players, and just to kind of get you updated on what's going on with Carolina Ascent FC. They are friends of the show. We've had a couple of they've come in.
Had a couple players. They were lovely.
Lovely. So we are looking forward to their second season. So let's listen into this press conference happening right now. Again, Carolina Ascent FC Media Day.
To put young players on longer term contracts, right? When you sign a young player, you can't give her a 1-year contract. You've got to probably look at 3 to 4 years. So we're brave enough, willing to do that, but we're not gonna bid for young players. If young players are kind of looking at your Carolinas and Dukes, and that's where they should be there, and they're great options for those young players. But we're more interested in the player that is, this is where I want to be, and this is where I see our future, and I'm desperate to be a professional.
Given your track record with moving these players up or some going to college like that, is it just about you and your staff searching for players, or do you have agents, players, parents coming to you?
No, we deal with mostly agents, mostly that kind of thing. We have an ID program that we kind of go out and we look, but most of these top talents are around the world, around the United States. It's mostly these kids now have agents at 14 and 15, so they kind of come to us in the initial, then it's for us to decide yay or nay.
Coach, you have the shield you're carrying. How much do you think the teams are going to say, hey, the Ascent's come to town, we got to step up our game? Do you think it's going to be the 100 versus last year?
I hope so. I mean, I think that it's winning big, silver, shiny things are really the marker in sports, right? Is you can talk about teams and who's the best and who's not, but I think ultimately sometimes that big, silver, shiny thing can decide that, right, can take the discussion out. So I hope so, I would expect so, I would do the same thing. But again, it won't change the way we play, it won't change what we do, it won't change our approach. But yeah, it's a natural thing. I think some teams will probably want to get us back a little bit.
Coach, being kind of Charlotte observer, obviously soccer is soccer city here in Charlotte. How cool has this location, not just in Charlotte, but in the Carolinas been?
I couldn't agree with you more, right? And I think that the little known secret is, I think there's 5 professional soccer teams in our city, right? When you look at FC, FC's MLS2 team, I don't know why I'm blanking at us, Independence, right? Like it's a soccer city, and I think we're so lucky in the region we live. We're so lucky not just on the back of the soccer teams, but the sports vibe of Charlotte, which I think is untapped and unknown nationwide, right? I don't think it's out there yet. But I think combined with our phenomenal stadium, right? Our climate, our fans, our community. It's just an exciting sports town to live in, and the fact, we actually were at a we presented at the Charlotte Touchdown Club, right? And it's pretty cool to bring out a big, regular season championship, and the amount of people after that, they're like, hey, it's about time we won something here in Charlotte. It's about time we had a championship here in Charlotte, and it's nice to be able to put that regular season championship on the table year one. So I think that gives us a little bit of, intrinsic motivation, a little bit of motivation to keep moving forward. But I actually think I look at us as part of a massive sports town. I look at it as part of the sports ecosystem in this town. The fact that it's the only female team of any kind in this town, let alone being a soccer team, for me is just massively exciting. So I think it's a combination of riding the wave of women's sports, it's being part of this amazing city and ecosystem and community. And again, I take a little satisfaction that it's the only women's sports franchise that delivers something on the table year one. It's we could have delivered more, but it's nice to put something on the table year one.
Is there a little satisfaction in knowing where the Independence started, training at Zach, really getting, this was always the promised land?
Yep.
You just need to come in, experience that with them back in 2015. Now it's all right, this is the threshold, this is the bar, there are these facilities, all the infrastructure is already here. It's not the, have that consistent.
Yeah, I think it's just where women's sports are, right? And maybe I want to drop the women's piece, right? It's just where sports in our town are that, you know, Mr. Tepper's now spending another X amount of hundreds of millions on developing that stadium. The Hornets have broken ground and building yet another facility, right? You just see now this, it's not just women's sports, it's sports in Charlotte. It's the city of, it's the vibe that it has, is that we all are reaching and striving for more. So yeah, there's a lot of satisfaction in, you know, from the Ramblewood temporary stadium days of Charlotte Independence to being in this beautiful building right here at American Legion Memorial Stadium. It's borderline perfect in my opinion. We can improve everything we do, but it's not bad.
You mentioned the infrastructure and the development that's happened with Bank of America Stadium, the new facility for the Hornets, the renovations on Spectrum Center. Is the vision at some point for the Ascent and perhaps Independence as the sibling club to have their own training facility?
100%. But again, it's like a philosophical type of thing. We're in year one, right? If we start building our exposure, now again the corporate money changes, the TV money changes, now everything allows us to fast forward that. So yeah, you look at what our neighbours are doing and it's great, but our neighbours have got decades and decades on us. Absolutely, why not? I mean, we talk to Dan every day about our own situation, our training situation. Can we partner with county and expand stadium? Can we make it more friendly for users? Whatever it may be. So all the time looking, there's no reason why we shouldn't be. And again, I think it's an inspiration to see what Panthers do, what Hornets are doing, what NASCAR is doing, what the Knights have done, right? Don't skip over the Knights, right? I mean, you couldn't buy a ticket for certain games a couple of years ago. That's massive for the city. So yeah, I think all of the above. Yes, right. I mean, I want to win. You give me something right now, and I want to win, right? Whether it's a race to the top of the room or back, I think that's always there. I think that to lose with quote unquote a buzzer beater, every time I lose concentration on something, I think about it. So yes, there's a competitive piece there. It's a learning experience. I don't want to be overly positive, but I'll never let that happen again. Right, and it's, you look at those things and you just replay it in your mind. So yes, massive competitive chip, whatever you want to call it, but I think that would exist if we'd won the whole thing. Because if we won the whole thing, I never want someone to say, they were good year one, but they were crap year two. You have to double down and win it again, and then, okay, 2 are good, but 3 are better, right? And so I don't think ultimately it really would have mattered. I think I would have had a chip or had some motivation to do it again, or to take a step further next year, or whatever it may be. I think that's just in us and the type of players that we sign.
What's the status of bringing VAR to Super League?
Yeah, so obviously VAR is a sensitive subject because had we had VAR, the semi-final goes very differently. Dan is the driver and leader in the league with that. So I believe this season we will implement a version of VAR. It won't be the VAR you see in the World Cup or in the Premier League with a 95 camera system. It will be a lesser scaled back version that fits the type of stadia that we're in. I don't know when it will come, but I think it's coming this season. So hopefully mid-season. It doesn't make sense to go, any other time. So either now or mid-season. But Dan D'Amico's been the driving force with that. There's 3 or 4 incidents last season where we have received apologies from the Professional Referee Association. We got this call wrong, we made this mistake, and the semi-final being the big one.
Specific to your player situation, your goalkeeper. Last year, your goalkeeper of the year wasn't even starting the second half of the season, so you were blessed both with what Megan did at the beginning, Samantha at the end there. Samantha's moved on, going back to play in Europe. Charlotte Bird. You also brought in Martinez from Brooklyn, who was also a very good keeper. Is there going to be a fight for number 1 spot?
Yeah, we said it last year, Steve, right? Like, Megan smashed it at the start of the year, doing great. But again, doing great means we have to keep her, we have to push her to do more. So again, even with like Mia scoring goals, we bring in competition for Mia. We bring in competition for Megan. We bring in competition across the board. So for me, I think it's just the, it sounds a bit coachy, the iron sharpen iron piece, right? Is if you've got the all-league quarterback, make sure your number 2 is pushing that person all the way. And I think that's in every position for us.
Yeah, so you brought in a number of forwards as well.
Yep.
To push there, and you've lost influential players from last year. Is it going to be the same? Does anybody have a position locked up, or has everybody got to fight?
No one. No one owns a shirt. It belongs to the club.
Year one started with a lot of momentum. Starting with the first goal of the league and Players Shield second year. What are we looking for momentum-wise?
I mean, hoping for, same if not better. It's one game at a time. The first game is the first game, the second game is the second game. So we know that Fort Lauderdale are going to be good. We know they're going to be a good opponent, and it's really not paying too much attention to last year. It's saying you can only go on 11 game unbeaten if you take care of the first one, and then you take care of the second one. So yeah, it's a pretty cool achievement, but it's not something that we say, hey, we must. It's like, hey, we have game one, let's take care of game one, let's make sure that we are ready and prepared, and that's the only focus.
And just speaking to the players who helped develop the foundation of the club, who have moved on, Ashlyn and Cannon and Vicky, how important were they to help creating the culture of this club, especially with their local connection?
You cannot put a value on what they did for us. You can't. There's no way of knowing that, and probably we won't know that until another year or so, just how valuable those people were. Vicky, Cannon, Josie Studer, Ash, like parts of this community that legitimately played good minutes for us. Vicky scored the inaugural goal for our team. You just are never going to be able to put a value on what they did within the community and what they did. Very deliberate from our end to get some Charlotte-based professional players to come home and play, and an opportunity they never had before, right? Would have had to go somewhere else in the United States or somewhere else in the world. So you can't even repay what they did, and it double down, Steve. Like the day when you tell them, hey, we're going to kind of part ways, and that's a heavy day. And it's not necessarily based on them being great people and really good players. It's based on exactly what you said, is so much more than soccer players, so much more than team members, but what they did on top of that, heavy, massive. So massive gratitude from us. They'll always be part of what we do, one way, shape or form, but ridiculous in terms of what they did for us.
And some are retiring, some are continuing their careers. With the ones who have, kind of stopped playing competitively, are you keeping them involved with the organization, the club, as far as to build that continuity, and they're the first alumni?
Yeah, I think that will be there for anybody, right? Let alone the Charlotte native type of player. Some people move away from the sport and change direction, and some people need a little time to figure out what they're doing. But that offer isn't. Once you're Ascent, you're always kind of Ascent. You're always welcome back. We want you here, and who knows what that turns into for certain players. But yeah, that's not specific to those. But they all know that they're always welcome. And
players are being looked up to by children in the community, young athletes in the community. Not as a coach, but as a father. How does it feel to know you're helping create this image for young children to realize they can do it too?
I've got a story for you. This is a true story. So Fort Lauderdale heartbreak, buzzer beater. I've been part of World Cup teams that have been knocked out, Olympic teams. That pales in comparison to how that night was, right? Heavy night. But again, you have to go through it as a coach. So, bear with me. So I'm driving, and normally if the light's yellow, I'm going through. It's a flaw of mine. But for whatever reason, on that morning, Sunday morning, yellow light, and I stop. Never would stop in a million years, but for whatever reason. And walking across the street was a mom, 2 daughters, and a dog. The dog had a Carolina Ascent dog bandana. The 2 daughters had Carolina Ascent jerseys on. And for me in that moment, it was like, wow, that's like a sign, right? I would never stop at a yellow light. But the morning after, I stop, and right across the street, mom, dog, bandana, 2 daughters, Ascent jerseys. And for me, I look at that and go, I feel like crap right now. Never in my career have I felt this low, but it gives me optimism for the future. It says we're on the right track. It says, yes, we're a startup league, but like that's it. And I think what these players do to inspire young people, not just little girls, but young kids, young girls in the community, it's just, I get a kick every time I see a jersey. I get a kick every time I see a car magnet. I get a kick every time I see a billboard. So yeah, they're inspiring. They're amazing people. I've got 3 daughters of my own, and you know, my wife, by the way, just screaming at games, and I love it. But my daughters are really genuinely inspired by these players. So for me, that little note kind of got me when I saw that family cross the street at a time I would never ever dream of stopping my car, and it just gave me a look into the future that we're on the right track. We have the right people on board, and I think there's a lot of impact and inspiration that's there right now. We want it to be more, and we know we need to do more, and we're going to do more, but we're on the right track. I'm certain of it.
So thank you, everyone. We are going to conclude this section of our media day, and we're going to move on to our players that will be at the tables behind you for one-on-one.
Hello everyone, you are watching Live Impact News. Nick has stepped away from the desk, but it is me, Carlene Bragg, the producer. Looks like our shot just went away, so we want to switch gears and talk about Clear the Shelters. It's a station initiative we've been doing for several years now. It's a great way to get involved in the community and help these pets in need from every corner of our area. There's plenty of shelter animals that can use your help, use a home, even just use a walk if you don't have any time to adopt permanently. There's plenty of opportunities that you can still help these animals in need. Our Vanessa Rufus has been talking to many shelters over the last few days about the unique situations that they are dealing with in their shelters. So we want to go to one of those interviews from our friends in Lincoln County. Here you go.
And we are turning now to a local effort that we've been highlighting throughout the month of August. We're talking about Clear the Shelters here. So day after day, we've been speaking with a local rescue or shelter who's participating with this magnificent campaign to try to get as many pets adopted as possible, raise awareness about animal welfare and how we can all play a part in that. And so we're really excited to join now with some folks in Lincoln County. We are speaking right now with Helping Animals to Survive. This is essentially a non-profit no-kill partner for the Lincoln County Animal Shelter. And so we have Ken Phelps who's joining us right now. You're a board member. You do a lot of work with HATS and also, of course, by nature of what your group does, a lot of work with the Lincoln County Animal Shelter too. So thanks so much for joining us here in the Live Impact News studio.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Well, we're really excited to talk about all that you do and talk about some of your adoptable pets. You've shared some pictures and bios with us ahead of time, and they got some real cuties, so we're excited to talk about those. I guess first off, I'd love to talk about the no-kill element that y'all have been spearheading in Lincoln County. This has been underway for, from what I understand, more than 10 years is something that's been a priority for your group, and y'all have been able to achieve the no-kill status for the Lincoln County Shelter. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, it all started, I believe, in 2013. And there was a group of people that approached the board commissioners in Lincoln County, and they asked if they could get the county to consider being a no-kill shelter. The county at that time, they were not aware or not keen to that project, so it took a lot of letter writing, a lot of promotions, a lot of people involved in getting it done. Slowly but surely, the commissioners of the county said, okay, we'll consider going to a no-kill. But for the first couple years, they didn't put anything in place to do that. And then they had a change of personnel, and the new director at the shelter was able to implement things, and it took a couple years to become a no-kill. But I believe it was in June of 2027 that we officially became a no-kill. The no-kill requirements are 12 consecutive months of 90% or better release rate, and you have to do that every month. If you fall behind even 89.9%, that no-kill goes away and you have to start all over again. And fortunately, we've been able to do it and maintain that for a number of years now, and we've not fallen below that 90% in all those years, although sometimes it was very, very close and we had to put an extreme effort in getting some of the dogs and cats adopted.
I mean, I can imagine how difficult maintaining a status like that can be, not just any time, but maybe particularly now, because I feel like, you know, with some of my volunteer work with at least Charlotte Shelter, I've heard that there's kind of a golden era, if you will, during the pandemic when lots of folks, at least here in Charlotte, wanted to adopt pets. They wanted someone to keep them company while they were working from home primarily or locked down on quarantine. And then kind of after that, it feels like there are various factors that went into play, but now we're starting to see a lot of animals come into shelters, and sometimes it does feel like it's never ending, at least from what we're seeing here in the Charlotte area and kind of the surrounding suburbs. How is it in Lincoln County, from what you understand?
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
The pandemic, we had a lot of dogs adopted. We do it at the PetSmart in Lincolnton, and for 2 or 3 years, that PetSmart was the #1 adoption center in all the Southeast. And that includes, I believe, other competitors as well. And from what the managers told me, the numbers weren't even close. Unfortunately, when the pandemic was over, people started going back to work. Then all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, that dog I adopted, well, what do I do with it now? I'm going to be gone all day. And they try maybe to get it rehomed, but unfortunately, some cases, they basically just drop the dog off someplace and let the dog fend for itself, and that's the sad part of it. But we have to look at it as every dog we get adopted that's one more that we don't have to worry about in the shelter. So.
Yeah, and well, speaking of getting dogs adopted, we've prepared a bit of a slideshow for folks so we can go through some of the pictures that you sent. And I'll kind of direct you. We have a little monitor. Ken, if you ever want to look off to the side, you can see what is on the stream. So right now it's us, but we're about to show Randall first off, because Randall here is adoptable. He's 5 years old, neutered male boxer mix, and he's got some great notes from what I understand. Y'all do a lot of work with volunteering, and so I can imagine you have some volunteers with the shelter who've spent some time with Randall and they've gotten to know him. So what can you tell us about Randall?
Well, Randall has been with us probably the longest. He's been with us, I think, since December of last year. We've had him at our adoption event. Randall is a great dog. He's very friendly. He likes to be a lap dog. He can be dog selective, and that's the case of a lot of dogs. They have a tendency to, after they've been in the kennel, they want to be protective, I guess. So Randall we'd love to have a meet and greet with other dogs. We've had a couple, and it just hasn't worked out yet, but we will find the right home for him.
Well, I mean, and I think that is a great segue into maybe talking about the term dog selective, because we used it actually in the last segment that we did for Clear the Shelters here on Live Impact. But it's a term that we hear in rescue where you have a dog who probably has the potential to get along well with other dogs, but you just kind of have to find out what that factor is. Is it, you know, if Randall's a male, does he get along better with female dogs? Or does Randall get along better with dogs his own size versus smaller dogs? Any indication that he might have a certain, you know, dog that he would get along with? You haven't found it yet, and it's potential that you just...
No, and at our shelter they do a kind of a let the dogs roam in their play area together. They don't just bring one dog out and leave it. Some of our shelter personnel have been trained to handle dogs that are in a group. And Randall is out there in those groups a lot of times, but sometimes he has a tendency to be maybe a little pushy towards other dogs. We just don't know. Some dogs don't like little dogs. Some dogs don't like bigger dogs. So it's hard to say where Randall's focus is. A lot of times it can be just, if we do have a dog that's adopted, it's a slow process in introducing him to other dogs. Let them know that he is part of the pack and that's exactly what they are, whether it be 2 dogs or 5 dogs. When they get to know each other and they become accepted or accept other dogs, that becomes a pack instinct for them.
Yeah. Well, I would urge folks not to write Randall off just because, I've seen multiple cases where either with training or just taking the time, as you mentioned, being nice and slow, Randall could probably find, a household that he would get along great with, whoever the family member is. But we've got another pup to share in the meantime. So our next pup up is Fred. So give us a second. We're going to get Fred up on the screen. So looks like Fred is 67 pounds, neutered male terrier mix. Good guy to be outdoors, being, running around, scrappy dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. Randall is basically a typical pit bull mix. He's like a blue pit. So if you look closely at Randall, he has some scars on his face, so we know there's been some difficulty in his life in the past.
Aww.
But he still is real friendly. He loves people, and typical pit bulls or the mixes, they love kids.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely love kids. A lot of people don't realize that the early 1900s, they were considered the nanny dog.
Yep.
People loved them because they loved kids and they were protective of their kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, he looks like a cutie, and I'd certainly love to see him in a forever home, considering the fact that you just mentioned it sounds like maybe he has been through some tough times. We've got Jersey up next. Ooh, I love the ears on Jersey.
Jersey's one of my favorites.
Yeah, tell us about her.
Well, Jersey has been to 2 or 3 of our adoption events. I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why she hasn't been adopted.
Oh.
She's sweet, as I mentioned to you in the bio I sent. She has a tendency to be protective when she's within a barrier, like a crate or a cage or something like that. She becomes a totally different dog when she's out. She's happy, she plays, she likes people. All those transitions from the cage to outside, they go away when she's out. And
Yeah.
she is very, very active.
I just love her face. She's got almost like a Batman look, but
Yeah, she's got the years, for sure.
And I feel like, this is probably a good time to talk about barrier reactivity, because that's something that I've seen, historically, that could be trained out of a pet.
Absolutely.
If you, either get professional help or, you could do some good research online. There are a lot of tricks and tools that you can learn about to kind of get a dog a little bit more comfortable. Essentially what you find is sometimes there's a little bit more anxiety with a dog that is meeting another dog, let's say, but there's a barrier between them. So maybe it's a kennel door. In some cases you see leash reactivity, which is kind of considered like a barrier as well. The dog doesn't feel free to move around, so they get a little bit more anxious. But all of that I've seen, there are multiple trainers in our area that can work on that. And, if that is something that somebody would like to do.
And in Jersey's case, hers is more reactive when she's kind of boxed in.
Okay.
We see a lot of dogs that the shelter people do their best to give a bio on them, and then we get them at our adoption event. And for example, I'll give a perfect example that we had a dog adopted a couple weeks ago. He was supposed to not like men. Well, I don't know where it came from. Could have been totally from the kennel, but he was so, his name was Roscoe, and he was so into everybody. Matter of fact, when a couple would approach him, he'd more often go to the man than the woman. And
that's
I
interesting.
think I sent you a picture of Roscoe.
Oh.
He is the one that is laying down with his belly being rubbed with a huge smile on his face.
Oh, I think, let's see, we might have that actually. It's, Jeb, it's the, on the right side of our play deck.
Oh, gotcha.
Right, on the right side, right at the bottom. Tuesday. Yep. That's him. I think that's him. Is that him?
Yep, that's Roscoe.
We got him.
Look at the smile on his face.
And that looks like a man petting him, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the dangerous man that he doesn't supposedly like. And we saw that all day long. And he was another one that was great to be a couch potato.
Yeah. So that's some of the pictures, by the way, that you sent us of one of your adoption events, or actually probably multiple of your events, kind of all edited together. But we've got 4 folks up next. Oh, she's a cutie, and she's the chocolate lab. I love her. And I do have, oops. Sorry, folks. They're not adoptable. They're already spoken for. I apologize. That was a miscue, mispunch. But let's go ahead and get to Katie, I believe, is the next one. Yep. She's a senior. I love seniors, by the way.
Katie, we had her last week at the adoption event. She's laid back. She is a senior. They have a guest age around 8 at the shelter. She seemed to act younger than 8. The only thing they can tell by age when they come in as strays is by what their teeth look like. So that's why some dogs, they do their best again to guess their ages. Katie is typical chocolate lab. She's fun-loving. She's just a sweet girl. My wife had her part of the time last week, and she just loves her. If I didn't have enough dogs at home, I probably would find a home for Katie.
Yeah. I mean, loves a good lap. I love to hear that. Like a nice security blanket for you.
Exactly.
Oh, and yeah, the seniors sometimes can get overlooked in the shelter, which is such a shame, because you find that sometimes the puppy behaviors, if you feel like you're not quite ready to navigate all that, the seniors kind of come free of that, I want to say, in a lot of cases. Sometimes they're housebroken because maybe they have lived in a house previously before they came to the shelter. What a face. I just love to see it.
Yep, I love that face.
All right, our next pup here, I believe we've got up next. Yep. That's the scarf baby. I call her Mandy Rose.
Mandy Rose, yeah.
She is a lab, and she is on the senior side as well.
She is, but there is definitely not a senior bone in her body right now.
Oh, she's still energetic.
She is very energetic. In the cages that we had them in over the weekend, she spent as much time standing up as she did down, and she didn't lay down till the end of the day. And sometimes the day gets long for them, so.
Yeah.
But she was up every time somebody came around. Mandy May is a type of dog that probably you wouldn't want her to be adopted if you had domestic goats or chickens or anything like that, because she has the instinct. But she's a great girl. She's been out a couple times on a 5-bark stay. That's where people can take them out, give them a few days out of the shelter, and then they can bring them back. And so she's been out a couple times. So she's been at the shelter probably overall about 2 months, I'm going to say.
Yeah. But she seemingly does well with other dogs.
Yes,
which is good.
She's good with other dogs. That's correct.
Very, very cute. Yeah, likes to chase goats was the note that you sent me.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my, Mandy Rose.
That was her last 5-bark.
Okay. And I believe we have a kitty cat too for our
Yes.
next one. So our next is Snowball, who is also on the older side,
Yep.
but he's got a little blep for us, a little tongue action in that picture, which is so cute. It's Tongue Out Tuesday. Tell us about Snowball.
Well, Snowball has been at the shelter for a little while. Oh, like you said, senior cats and dogs are a little harder to get adopted. Everybody loves the kittens, and we are still in kitten season, but Snowball is still available and adopted. She might need a little bit of patience to adapt because cats have a tendency to be a little bit harder to adapt to a new environment when they're older. And I don't have a lot of information on Snowball, but she is right now the only senior. We only had 3 other kittens available at the shelter, but that's probably going to change. They do their spay neuters at the shelters on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I looked at the stray hold, and there's about 30 cats on stray hold right now. So they will be coming available soon, and we have those cats available at the PetSmart in Lincolnton. They're also available at a cat cafe in Lincolnton, I believe.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so those are the main highlights that you sent to us ahead of time. Obviously, you have many more animals. I did want to mention that I put together a web article with more information about hats, more information about Lincoln County Animal Services with links, and also pictures to all of our adoptables, plus the link to check out all of the adoptables that you have on your website right now, so that can kind of give folks a better idea of maybe the fuller look of what might be at the shelter.
Right.
I did want to mention, you know, as we kind of start to wrap things up, the fact that y'all do a lot of work there in Lincoln County, not just working to get animals adopted, but also just to kind of support the shelter and adopters in any way possible. And try to get animals into rescues too. We have some images from Danny, who is absolutely adorable, and it looks like she might have gone through some things.
Yes. I wanted to mention Danny because this highlighted the cooperation between several agencies in Lincoln County. I believe it was either the Lincolnton Police or the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office that found Danny. She'd been hit by a car. She was about 4 months old at the time. The officer picked Danny up and took her to Denver Emergency, where they evaluated her and determined that her back legs were kind of paralyzed at the time. The vet there felt that possibly she may have to be put down, but the officer called the shelter. The shelter director immediately called our president of HATS and said, "What do you think? Do you think we can help Danny?" And we said 100%. So they did a little bit of surgery there at the Denver Emergency. They took Danny back to the shelter, did some therapy with her. One of our volunteers had that wheelchair that she's outfitted with as one that he'd had for one of his dogs. He donated that to her, and the day that she first got the wheels behind her was the happiest day I think I've ever seen Danny.
Aww.
She had smile on her face. She was rolling up and down the aisle at the shelter, happy as can be. They continue to do water therapy with her, and eventually I believe it was the Piedmont Rescue then took her, and they were able to give her more therapy. I don't think Danny, she was able to stand a little bit without the wheelchair, but she never, to my knowledge, ever got back her full strength in her. But eventually she was adopted from Piedmont, found her forever home, and she's been very happy.
That's great. It's so great to see. And I think it's the reason we wanted to share the story is just one of the many ways that folks can help out. You know, you kind of pointed out the fact that sometimes you already have a lot of pets in the house. You still want to make a difference, feel like you're making an impact. You could volunteer, you could foster, you could help out an organization like HATS in all of the different efforts that you have, just getting animals from shelters into rescues. You talked about filling Kongs. Danny's story is just one example of how volunteers can come together to make a difference for one animal that might have not had the chance otherwise, and who knows what could have happened to Danny, you know, if y'all didn't step in.
Danny was such a sweetheart.
Yeah. Anything that you want to leave us with before we wrap things up here about, you know, message to folks watching at home about the need, how they can help, just anything?
Well, there's many ways people can help. Obviously, adoptions is our number one goal. I have a number one goal, and that's 0. That 0 means no dogs, no cats in the shelter. And I actually saw it once for about 2 hours. But,
wow, that's incredible though, even for that amount of time. At least for dogs.
I don't know about cats, but at least there was one time when we had an event like Clear the Shelter, and every dog was adopted. Unfortunately, one of the dogs did come back, but that was a great day. volunteering. HATS is a total volunteer organization. 93% of our funds go right directly back to the animals. We support the shelter. Our county has been very supportive to us. They're providing us with a new shelter they're going to be building here in the very near future. The site work has been being completed, and I think that says a lot. We're a small county overall compared to some of the larger ones around, but the people in this county have a lot of heart and a lot of giving. And help the shelter, help HATS. We do an adoption event at PetSmart in Lincolnton every Saturday from 10:30 till 3:30, and we're there every single Saturday. We run 2 shifts, a morning shift and the afternoon shift. And I have 4 other leaders that work diligently to keep this going. Some of them have been doing this for a long time, and I can't say enough for the volunteers that we have.
It really makes a difference when you have a community coming together to do the important work. Ken Phelps, we thank you so much for your time, and thank you for what you are doing for the animals. We appreciate it, and we're glad we could kind of profile some of that work for folks here.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for taking the time to let us talk about it.
Absolutely. We'll remind folks once again, the group is called HATS, Helping Animals to Survive. The shelter where you saw all those pets, that's Lincoln County Animal Services. We've got more information on our website, WCNC.com, inside the WCNC Charlotte mobile app. And just keep it here on WCNC Plus. Throughout the rest of the month, we'll be highlighting local animals, local rescues, local shelters, and how you can make a difference in this Clear the Shelters campaign.
All right, really good interview with Vanessa Rufus and the folks there in Lincoln County as we gear up for Clear the Shelters. And just a note, Larry Sprinkle will be live at Bark in the Ballpark in Uptown, starting at 4 o'clock, then at 5, then at 6. Carlene, you've been at Bark.
I have.
Bark in the Ballpark.
Many a time. Turkey and I frequent the Bark in the Ballpark.
It's always a good time.
It's a great time. Everybody's always brings their dogs. It's just so cute to see all the dogs there, and the
dog community coming together.
Yeah, and then sometimes during the game they'll ring the doorbell and all the dogs bark. It's a fun time for sure.
And it's going to be even more fun because Larry Sprinkle's going to be there. That's so cool. Every time
Larry, like Vanessa, huge animal lover, animal advocate. So I mean, and every dog loves Larry.
Yeah, Larry's a man.
He's got a way with dogs. It's I've seen him just with strange. Well, I don't say strange, but dogs he doesn't know.
Right,
they go and meet Larry. It's like they know.
He's like the dog or the dog whisperer. Yeah, like
for sure.
Not the dude on TV, like the show.
No,
but he's the real deal. I'm not saying I don't want to say the other guy's not the real deal, but Larry.
Yeah, quick story. When I brought Turkey into the station for the first time, of course he's a little nervous. Met Larry, licked his face, calmed down. Like it really was something special to see.
Well, Larry Sprinkle, make sure you get a ticket. Make sure you visit Larry Sprinkle if you're planning on going.
Tell him we said hi.
Bark in the Ballpark. Yeah, I look forward to talking to Larry at 4.
Yeah, that's right. You get to talk to him.
Yeah, I get to talk to Larry.
Tell him I said hello.
I definitely will. All right. It's back to school time. We've talked to you about a number of school districts going back to school. Today, Gaston County, Caldwell, and Lincoln County are back in the classroom today. Ben Thompson, back to school for him.
Yep, he was out there.
He was out there in the thick of things.
Bright and early.
In Gaston County, Ben was live this morning doing back to school coverage in Gaston County. So we played his interview before today. Pre-recorded sit down with the superintendent there. He actually met up with the superintendent this morning. Got a chance to chat with them for a few minutes. So let's take you back to that conversation in case you missed it this morning.
Joining me now to talk a little bit more about this first day, Superintendent Morgan Houchard. Superintendent, good to see you again.
Good morning.
All right, so far so good here for the district.
Yes, sir. We are excited to get students back on campus. Teachers have been working all summer, administrative team, as well as faculty, grounds, transportation, and school nutrition. So we are excited about this day.
You told me just off camera a second ago, a lot goes into making sure this day goes off smoothly.
Yes, sir. We actually started the first day at the end of last year to work on our plans, procedures, and protocols and training, and it all builds up, of course, to this day.
outside Sherwood Elementary School, and this has been named an innovation school, and this is something new. Explain to me what that means.
So we last year identified 10 of our low-performing schools, and we have phrased them as innovative schools. Last year we started with leadership, and that involved training, high-quality training and development of our leaders to get the right leaders in the right place at these schools. That was year one. We're now in year two, which starts and focuses on the classroom. And it started this summer with training. We've been able to hire high-quality coaches to help develop lesson plans and strategies for this year, so that the real focus is on that teaching and learning that goes on in the classroom every day.
So what are the tangibles that students or parents might notice that are going to be different?
Right, so that focus on the instruction, that focus on the standards and student achievement in the classroom. We are trying to build this. It will be a replicable model that once we are successful in our 10 schools, we can then roll this out to other schools in the district.
Let me ask you the hard question. What barometer, what metric can parents hold you guys to as far as this being a success or not?
Yeah, so I think they will hopefully collaborate with us on the success of their students, of their children and our students, and you will see academic gains and achievement. So one of our metrics is 1 year of school to have at least 1 year of progress academically.
Last I spoke to you was about a week ago over at the new Greer Middle School, not too far away. A big day for the district because that school was, I believe, 70 years old and needed replacement as soon as possible. The result of a 2018 bond referendum. It's a big day over there at Greer as well.
Yes, sir. It is a $52 million project, two-phase project that has ended, and now today we kick it off so that our students get to officially see it and open the building for us. So it's exciting for Greer Middle School and for Gastonia.
And I think, and you told me this last week, was that it has been designed for a rapidly growing Gaston County. You guys built it with the idea that it's going to need.
Yes, sir. It is ready today to house 1,000 students. Very quickly and easily can expand to 1,200 students. So we are trying to build schools with the future in mind. We know there's a lot of development and a lot of folks moving to this area, and we want to be prepared for that when they come.
Yeah. Talk to me about teacher vacancies. The district doing better than it has over the last couple of years.
Yes, sir. For a little perspective, this year we start the year with right at 40 teacher vacancies. For perspective, last year we had 75, and the year before that over 100. So we are seeing that number decline, which is important. We know the value and the having a quality teacher in the classroom with students every day. So we're seeing that number dwindle, and we will continue to work until that number is zero.
Something we've talked about a lot over the last week or so, and I talked about it with the superintendent over in Cabarrus County as well, and that's starting school earlier than what the state really would like for you to. Why does it matter to you? Granted, I could also ask that same question of lawmakers, which we have, but why does it matter to you as the leader of this school system that we start today, this Wednesday?
So it helps our students and teachers start and finish a semester before a natural break, and that's Christmas. So think of students come to school, we educate, we take half a year, they're able to test and finish the semester and then go on Christmas vacation and be gone for 2 weeks and not have to come back and worry about taking exams once removed because of the Christmas break.
What do you see as your biggest challenges as the students head back today?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is traffic, as you see it lined up around. Starting school drastically changes the traffic flow and pattern here in Gaston County, as it does in all counties. So just having folks be mindful of that, be safe and secure around our school zones because we know children are coming and going, and have patience. And then the follow-up with that would be if there are issues, we encourage folks to reach out to our schools' administrative leaders and work through those processes.
If there's some students right now rushing to get out the door as they watch this, what's your message to them?
Be safe. We're here. We welcome you. Just come on, but be safe about it.
All right. Dr. Houchard, thank you. Good to see you again. Take care. Best of luck first day of school.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right, so that was Ben Thompson's 101 this morning with the superintendent in Gaston County. All right, we want to go to something live. Let's head back over to Louisville, Kentucky. We brought you this as breaking news. A woman shot this morning near an elementary school in Louisville, Kentucky. A press conference is happening right now with police. Let's take a listen in.
Yes, and the Office of Violence Prevention to make sure that we're able to get ahead of these things and prevent them when we can. Why was the officer not here?
These are connected to last week's shooting, any connection to two shootings?
So the question was this connected to last week's shooting? And that's still part of the investigation. And as soon as we can confirm whether or not that is, we'll be able to give that to you. So thank you all.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you all.
All right, so that press conference just wrapping up. Again, a woman shot near an elementary school this morning in Louisville, Kentucky, just before 8 a.m. Our content partners there in Louisville are reporting that a person was shot at 11th and Chestnut Streets. That's near Coleridge Taylor Elementary School. That's according to Louisville Metro Police Department. Again, we were able to get some updates out of there. It already started, but we wanted to bring you there live as it was happening. So again, that wrapped up. As soon as we get more information on what unfolded there, we will bring it to you here on Live Impact News on WCNZ Plus. All right, so we want to stay in Louisville. Let's take you now to this live event that's happening. So General Electric is holding an announcement regarding investment in the United States. And this comes as President Trump has encouraged many companies to move their industry back here to the United States. So I just want to put that context out there. Again, we don't know a lot about this announcement, but let's learn in real time. Let's take a listen in.
These are the folks on the front lines who make it happen every day. Last but not least, we have our local union represented here today in a big group of our GE appliance employees here with us. From manufacturing to sales and all the points in between, we have a powerhouse team that, quite frankly, I would put up against anyone. I also want to give a big shout out to our incredible teams watching from our plants in Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee. You are a huge part of why we're here today, and all of you deserve a round of applause as well. As I was driving in today and I was reflecting on today's events, I couldn't help but notice a billboard outside Gate 3. It reads, GE Appliances, rated America's #1 appliance company. You know, that's a huge win for us. And I've got to admit, we couldn't always say that. We have fought, we have clawed, inch by inch, wrestled our way, all the way to the very top. This company has come a long way. And over the last 10 years, we have momentum on our side and a team hungry to be the best and #1 in the industry. You saw it on the kickoff video. And it hasn't always been easy. It's been a tough road at times, challenging, especially the last 5 years. But we've grown faster than our competition. We've doubled our business. We've invested billions of dollars in our products and our plants. We've put in the work. We got here thanks to all of you. Thanks to our partners at all levels, our customers, our people, our stakeholders, nearly 16,000 strong. We've been able to do more, invest more, and be more as a company than ever before. We've made bigger American investments. We've created more American jobs. GE Appliances is built for America, and I'm excited to say we're not even coming close to slowing down. Today marks a major milestone, not just for Kentucky, but for our entire American manufacturing footprint. And we've got a CEO who is energized about the future. He's a guy that loves manufacturing so much. He kicked the cars out of his garage to build his own clock manufacturing operation in the garage. I can't think of anyone in my career who has been a bigger advocate, a bigger champion, a bigger supporter of American manufacturing than our CEO. To talk more about this exciting roadmap ahead for GE Appliances, please welcome President, CEO, and my boss, Kevin Nolan.
Thank you, Bill. I'm not used to so many kind words coming from Bill, so that was enjoyable for me up there. So this morning I'm excited to share really some historic news. It's proud to be up here. And why? Because GE Appliances is making the biggest investment in our company since Appliance Park was built. And we're doing it right here in America. You know, Bill talked about investments. In the last decade, we've invested $3.5 billion. Today, we're announcing a $3 billion, 5-year plan to build more U.S. products and create more good American jobs. This is a total commitment of $6.5 billion in our people, our products, and our country since 2016. And if you look, no other appliance company, no other one has poured more into America manufacturing over the last decade than us, GE Appliances. But as Bill said, we didn't make these because it's easy. We made these because it's right. American manufacturing, it's back. It is back. And GE Appliances, we're showing the way of how to bring American manufacturing back in a big way. That's the role of an industry leader. Our global headquarters are built here. They're led here. And that means that the big decisions, they're made here. Leadership is about doing hard things and setting the pace for the rest. And I believe GE Appliances is a model that the nation needs to look at. What we've done, what we're doing next, isn't just good business, it's essential. It's essential for our company. It's essential for our economy. And it's essential for American manufacturing, providing the goods that people need and the livelihood that they deserve. This investment creates more American jobs, and it starts right here in Kentucky. Back in June, Governor Beshear invited us to Frankfurt to announce the first phase of this plan. A $490 million investment, 800 good Kentucky jobs, and bringing more laundry manufacturing into this building that we're sitting here today. But behind the numbers are real people that we'll talk about. A few weeks ago, I met an employee named Joseph. Joseph, you can stand up for us. He's 35, he's a father, he's a husband. He's been with this company for 11 years. He started on night shift out on the assembly line. When I met him, he was participating in a mock interview that we hosted for interns. Joseph, he's a part of what we call the Gear Up program. It's an upskilling program for hourly associates to help prepare them for promotions. And what he told me, it struck me and it had an impact on me. He said, it's amazing that GE Appliances is investing in me. That's what these investments really mean. They're not just numbers on a press release, they represent possibilities. And Joseph's proof of what possibilities when someone wants to grow and a company is ready to grow with them. So thank you, Joseph. Upskilling a workforce is one of the hard things needed to strengthen American manufacturing infrastructure. We have innovative workforce development programs, but the investment lets us do more. Because the truth is, we need more people in manufacturing. We need more programs that train, develop, and invest in them. And if we can do this here, just imagine what happens if more companies do this across the country. Because this $3 billion commitment isn't just staying here in Kentucky. It's strengthening our entire American manufacturing footprint. We're adding production, expanding our product lines, and modernizing 11 U.S. plants that power this business. I'll give you some examples of this first phase. Camden, South Carolina, will double our output and double the number of jobs. Starting later this year, we'll manufacture electric water heaters and hybrid heat pump water heaters in addition to the gas products that we build there today. Lafayette, Georgia, we're expanding what that plant can produce. What was once a site only for electric ranges is now making gas ranges, induction cooktops, and wall ovens. These are products that were made in Mexico are now made in Georgia. Decatur, Alabama, we're adding production of more top freezers. That work is ramping up and will be in full capacity by the end of August. Selmer, Tennessee, we're launching a new air conditioning and adding more jobs. But these aren't isolated wins. These are part of our roadmap to grow American manufacturing, product by product, state by state. It's proof that American manufacturing, we're going to see the best days ahead. And it's proof of what our global company can do for American manufacturing when we have the right partners at our side. I know the government, they can't build factories, but they can make building them easier. Here in Kentucky, we've got strong partners each step of the way. With Governor Beshear, Mayor Greenberg, the General Assembly, the Metro Council. We've also had great support from Governor Kemp in Georgia, the Governor Ivey in Alabama. This isn't a red or blue issue. Strong government policies enable companies like ours to invest with the confidence we need to make these big announcements. We need more companies making things in America, rebuilding American manufacturing infrastructure, and giving new life to old plants, creating jobs for everyday families and offering opportunities for growth. Companies like GE Appliances. I think of it like this. Behind every appliance built in our U.S. factories, there's an American worker making a better way. There's a local partner, like our customers, our suppliers, our policymakers. There's a vibrant community with diverse opportunities. And when it all comes together, bold investments like this one can usher in a new era of U.S. manufacturing. This is what Built for America, this is what it looks like. Bigger American investments, more American jobs, a future right here where we're standing. Thanks to our team, our customers, and everyone here who helped us grow. But someone who's played a big, important part in making all this happen is our own Louisville Mayor, Craig Greenberg. And I'd like to invite the mayor to say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you to all of the members of the GE Appliances team. Thank you to the hardworking members of the IUE CWA. Thank you to everyone in the GE family. It is wonderful to be with you here today. It is a great day. No, it is a great week for Louisville, Kentucky. We are on a roll. And to see, it is so energizing to be with so many elected officials, so many community leaders, the governor, the congressman, the speaker of the House, other members of the General Assembly, my friends on Metro Council, leaders of President Bradley from U of L, leaders of other organizations in our community. And because while there's a lot in this world we might not agree on today, one thing that all of us here in this room, all of us around the city and state agree on is when it comes to creating good-paying jobs right here in Louisville, Kentucky, we are going to work harder, more creative, more innovative than anyone else in the country, because there is no better place for companies to invest and create good-paying jobs than right here in Louisville, Kentucky. That's what today is about. And as you all have seen, GE Appliances is doing great business all around the country and other states. It was a competitive process to make sure that this happened. And I want to give a very special thanks to Governor Beshear, to Secretary Knoll, and to Trevor Paul and the Louisville Economic Development Alliance, that when we knew we had an opportunity here, we got to work. And we worked in ways that, at least from the city's perspective, we had never done before, working in close partnership with our friends on Metro Council to make sure that GE Appliances had the opportunity to grow here in Louisville, Kentucky, and to announce to the entire world that right here, Appliance Park in Louisville, Kentucky, is the world headquarters of GE Appliances. So it is so wonderful to celebrate today, but we have so much more ahead of us, so many great days ahead of us for employees at GE, for employees at Ford with their new announcement this week, for another great announcement from another great Louisville, Kentucky, Texas Roadhouse coming tomorrow. This is what Louisville, Kentucky is all about. We are about working together. We are about creating new jobs. We are about creating great futures for families all across our city. So thank you all so much for what you all have done here today. And please know that we are so excited to continue working together in partnership to make sure that GE Appliances continues to grow right here in Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor. If you've been around this company for a while, you know that our commitment to America goes beyond the factory floor. Built for America doesn't just mean building our products here. We show up when our communities need us. Right next to the stage, you see two examples of that. One is the Water Step trailer. For years, we've worked side by side with Water Step to bring safer water access to areas struck by disaster. It's equipped with water treatment kits invented by our very own GE Appliance engineers, many of whom developed the technology on their own time using their own expertise to solve a real-world problem. The other is our brand new Red Cross mobile laundry unit, which we're excited to unveil today. Here in Kentucky and in the states we operate, we've seen firsthand the devastating impact of tornadoes, floods, and other natural disasters. That's why we're taking action. The unit, developed with volunteers across our company and Red Cross, will enable families recovering from natural disasters to have clean laundry quickly and at no cost. This is the story of how GE Appliances is finding better ways to serve our people of our communities. Let's take a look.
We all have experienced what seems to be more natural disasters, from tornadoes to hurricanes to wildfires. Those disasters have actually impacted our employees. Even when they did not impact our employees, the people who work for GE Appliances always wanted to respond. And that's where we looked at who our partners are.
I'm Mark Hogg. I'm the founder and CEO of WaterStep. Over the past 30 years, we've been working internationally and had chances to work nationally in disasters and in the developing world with water, sanitation, and health solutions. So as disasters increase in the world, we got to plan together to at least be able to provide safe water and disinfectant and better health.
So we've partnered with WaterStep to create the WaterStep Natural Disaster Water Trailer. And so this trailer allows WaterStep to go on site when disaster strikes. Our engineers have helped support WaterStep's technology from how they actually clean and chlorinate water.
Being able to provide water on site, being able to have plenty of water that can go out and just be distributed at little bits at a time is a game changer. We're empowering people on the ground to be able to provide their own safe water and sanitation. That's an incredible thing that GE Appliances has done for us at WaterStep.
We're looking for a way that we can actually impact communities when they need it most in the most sustainable ways. And so we also partnered with the Red Cross and Montando Trailers out of Buffalo, New York, to design the Red Cross mobile laundry unit featuring the GE Profile 2-in-1 combo laundry machines.
My name is Nadine McCrindle and I serve as the Regional Chief Executive Officer for the American Red Cross of Kentucky. Our partnership began some 15 years ago, donating necessary funds to support our mission, employees, volunteering, to being out in the community and just making sure that during times of disasters people know that they're being cared for. This mobile laundry unit is a really big deal. It provides a level of normalcy to communities where just the simple act of doing laundry isn't possible because of a disaster. Without the expertise from GE Appliances, these laundry mobile units wouldn't be possible.
And not only did we develop this and build this and manufacture a trailer, we also looked at our logistics team and talked about how do we deliver the same service during a natural disaster that we deliver to each of our customers every single day. So the Red Cross mobile laundry unit will be stationed at one of GE Appliance's 16 area distribution centers. And when the Red Cross needs us, when communities need us, we deliver a well-prepared unit to support families when they need it most.
GE Appliances want to be a really good partner, not only to American Red Cross, but they want to be a good partner to their community.
GE Appliances doesn't just want to feed us cash. They don't want to just feed us knowledge, but they want skin in the game. That skin in the game is impacting lives. This is a great partnership.
Our next speaker has been a great partner of GE Appliances and a strong supporter of the economic development in our region. David Osborne has led the Kentucky House of Representatives since 2018. Many of our employees, along with other residents of Oldham County, first elected him in 2004. Please extend a warm welcome to Speaker Osborne.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning. What a great day it is. You know, GE has such an incredible legacy in the city of Louisville and the Commonwealth. I was speaking on the tour to some folks a little earlier today that for those of us that grew up in the Louisville area, there's very few of us that haven't had some family member that has.
All right, we want to shift away from that and take you here to this breaking news. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are approaching the top of the hour, but before we get out of here, we wanted to come in with this breaking news out of the Houston, Texas area, Cleveland, Texas to be exact. So a Cleveland ISD school bus ended up on its side after a crash this morning, but officials say all students are safe. According to the district, transportation staff and emergency responders quickly evacuated every student from the bus. There are no major injuries that have been reported, but you see this view there of that bus on its side and first responders there. Again, the good news, all students on the bus are safe, and folks involved on the bus are safe. Medical personnel on scene. Students are being checked out at the local hospital, and parents have been contacted. This is according to our content partners there in Houston. The district